Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Joining me today is David Druker, who is chair of the Canadian Franchise Association, as well as president and CEO of UPS Store Canada. Thanks for joining us today, David.
Thank you, Mario. Good morning. How are you?
I am good. I want to talk to you about some trends that we're going to see and some forecasts in the franchising area. A recent report shows that the Franchise Association is looking at significant growth, like 71,000 plus new franchises this year in Canada, 38,000 net new jobs. Why is this happening? Why are we seeing this significant growth in this sector?
Well, so franchising really is a component of small business. Small business, after the last 2 years that we've gone through, a lot of people have rethought and re-examined what they're doing. So small business is a great way for them to have a little bit more control. Maybe after not having to do the 2.5 hours of commuting each day back and forth, they've decided it's a great way. And really, franchising is a wonderful segment of small business because you've got a support crew with it. The big attraction for franchising is to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So you've got operations people, you've got someone who has run the gamut of what you're likely to see on a daily basis. So it's like getting a business with an owner's manual and a personal coach. So it's really quite attractive for people. And, everyone is looking to, I guess, reinvent and get out the blocks with a running start after the last 2 years that we've experienced.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have these numbers handy, but I know in the past, maybe some people would have thought a roadblock would have been the fee or whatever to become a franchisee. However, I understand, that varies, right? Can you talk a little bit
100%.
about that?
Yeah, and franchising, a lot of people think franchising is restaurants. Franchising is so much more than restaurants. There's us, we're the UPS store. We do packing, we do shipping. We're also Canada's largest network of print and copy centers. There's dry cleaners, there's home businesses, there's gardening businesses, there's home maintenance businesses. So a franchise can be $25,000 and it can be $2.5 million. It really depends on the size and the scope of the business that you're looking to get into. Really, like any other investment, you've got to sit down and figure out, who you are, where your strengths are, and what you're looking for. And then if you go to somewhere like the Canadian Franchise Association, we've got lookforafranchise.ca. So there's different types of things, and you want to try and match your personality, your tolerance for stress, and your ability to run a large team versus your ability or your desire to be a one-man show or one-woman show.
Yeah,
franchises really are, local people in local communities paying mortgages, looking to look after their kids. It's a very viable part of the Canadian economy. And, there's recent articles. A lot of people sat on a lot of money for the last 2 years. So they have the money to put in to invest in a small business. The government programs, the small business loan programs are generally matching type programs. So, if you have $100,000 to put in, the government will lend you $100,000. So all of a sudden you got a $200,000 business, and you can do that math exponentially as you go through the things. If it's a business that's got a lot of hard equipment, there's all sorts of resources available, and everyone is really very focused on getting the economy really steaming again.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the provinces? I understand there's growth expected and forecast in every province, with Alberta leading at 4.5%. Any thoughts on why we're seeing that significant growth in Alberta?
Well, so, again, it's percentage growth. So Ontario has the largest consolidation of franchises. So likely in pure numbers, the number of growth in Ontario is greater. The percentage of growth in Alberta or Saskatchewan is going to be higher. And to a certain extent, an average is exactly what an average is. So, some provinces are going to be slightly above that 4%. Some provinces are going to be slightly below. Alberta, I think, has, even before COVID started, they started to have a little bit of market resistance. So potentially there's either more desire, more pent up need, more pent up people looking to get control of their lives. So yeah. I think it has a lot to do with the demographics and a lot to do with the socioeconomics in those areas.
Okay, let's talk about the broader picture here, and you did make reference to it. It's the 12th largest contributor to the economy. $120 billion a year. Can you talk a little bit about that, David,
Sure.
and the significance of this sector to the overall economic growth in this country?
Again, it's it's a segment of small business. Small business is the backbone of the Canadian economy. Franchising employs directly and indirectly almost 1.9 million people. It's huge when you think about it. That, and again, most people don't even realize. They think of Tim Hortons or they think of McDonald's. They think of A&W, but they don't necessarily think of, something like a brow bar or a bread store. Or there's so many facets. Chances are, if you were to drive down the principal street that you drive down every day and start paying attention, probably a third of the businesses on that main street are franchises. They're got association of some form. And again, I think, coming off of what we've come off of, people are maybe a little bit more conservative or more risk adverse. So getting involved in a franchise, yes, 100%. You might very well be paying a little bit more because you're paying for a franchise fee up front, but you're getting experience. You're getting a coach. You're getting a teacher. You're getting best practices. Certainly, when again, I don't want to delve on a major shakeup in the world, having an organizational structure that's able to respond and give you guidance and best practices, there is no doubt that the ability for a franchisee to react in March of 2020 was better than that of an independent, because there was a team behind them. It wasn't just, Mario sitting in his store saying, "Oh my God, what am I going to do now?" Yeah. Mario was able to pick up the phone and say, "Okay, guys, what's the plan?" Or in our case, we were proactive and made sure that our franchisees were getting daily bulletins. Here's what the governments are saying. Here's what's going on. So, it's yes, in some ways you really do get what you pay for, because you're getting that support system. You're not all alone on an island.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the franchisees themselves. What type of people are these that typically go into this?
They're your neighbors. I mean, most franchisees really live within a 2 to 5 kilometer radius of the business that they operate. They're involved in the hockey league. They're involved in whatever local events are going on. They're very grassroots. They're very local community. Proudly owned and operated by your neighbors. It's great people who have made a decision that to look after their family and get into that type of business. Could have been the brand that attracted them. Could have been an interaction. In my personal case, I got involved in the UPS store because I walked into one in Florida and the guy just wowed me with the service. And I said, I'm going to check into what this is all about, because I was really that impressed that it was a good relationship. Franchising is a relationship business. That's the nice part about it. People come back because they want to, because they've gotten a good experience. Beyond just being clean and proper and whatever else, there's good business fundamentals there that, we teach the franchisees that you shouldn't be looking at the ground when you're having a conversation with somebody. Make eye contact, say hi to everyone. That old retail rule of making sure that they're, greeted within the first 3 seconds or 3 steps. The fundamentals are just stronger because there is a better onboarding process. If you're a self-employed person, and I'm not trying to knock it because I've been in that world as well, but nobody's there to help you with the onboarding. Nobody's there to sort of watch you and hold your hand for the first couple of days and say, that was a great interaction, but you really should be, starting here and moving to the right rather than starting there and moving to the left, because it's always easier to, sell down than sell up. Little things like that you don't necessarily realize when you're under the pressure of the moment.
Okay, super. So, David, if I'm an individual that's interested in becoming a franchise owner for something, how can the Canadian Franchise Association help me in my journey?
So we host regular webinars. As I mentioned in the beginning, we have a site called lookforafranchise.ca where you've got all the large franchise organizations listed, all of our members. There's regular franchise shows that we host primarily in Toronto. For us personally, we do online Zoom. Again, as a result of what happened over the last 2 years, we now do monthly Zoom presentations. We're not the only brand doing it. So You could Google franchise presentations. One of the best things to do is sort of, if you're going to start on this journey, you got to sort of sit down with a piece of paper and do the plus minus. I love doing this. I'm not so happy doing that. You got to be honest with yourself. I'm strong at doing this. I'm not so strong at doing that. You have to be a people person if you're going to be in the public. If you're introverted and you're not the type of person to, go to a dinner party and start up a conversation, well, then maybe you should be doing less of a person-to-person type business. But there's plenty of tools of the Canadian Franchise Association on the website to help you kind of establish, if you're not sure where you should be going or what you should be looking at. There's different people you can speak to. There's different tools to help you decide that, maybe I don't swing a hammer so well, so I shouldn't be getting into a construction business, but I love to bake, so a bread business would be good for me, as an example. There's something for everybody. I mean, when you think about the sheer mass numbers, I mean, we have over 700 brands. I mean, it's huge. There really is something for everybody.
Yeah. Are you noticing any trends in terms of the types of businesses? Now, obviously, you mentioned the restaurants and food industries as being, what a lot of people think about when it comes to franchising. But are there any other trends that you're seeing out there that certain sectors of businesses that are becoming more into this these days?
Service businesses are becoming very big. Like, again, for us, some of the services that we provided, the fact that we could do copying and shredding and stuff like that while people were stuck at home, a lot more people learned we could do that. They thought UPS stores were really just shipping centers. But elder care, home care, we just had our annual convention. We all got together. There were franchises there for people who refurbish furniture or countertops, instead of throwing it out. There's really everything, car touch-ups, mechanics, oil changes. It's really quite vast. I don't think that there's a single sector that there's not a viable franchise concept that you could get into when you're talking about a customer-facing type interaction.
All right, super. Well, thanks very much, David, for joining us today.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing, hopefully, some of your listeners in our Franchise Association in the years to come.
All right, super. That was David Druker, who is chair of the Canadian Franchise Association, as well as being president and CEO of UPS Store Canada. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.